Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel, September 17th, 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, you've all seen me show video and photographs coming from the stereo head Core 2 imaging. And basically, this is a NASA tool, NASA instrument and space satellite and telescopic camera system that keeps an eye on the sun. Basically what they're looking for are coronal mass ejections. And just to cut to the chase, I was going through some of this footage because there was another coronal mass ejection on the 17th. So as I was reviewing this information, I'm going to show you what I stumbled onto. And you know, what I'm about to show you was purposely, once again, put into the video segment for a reason. And ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand something, that it's very easy for the people at NASA to doctor any of their images and try to trick you. So we're looking at the date right here. I just stopped this portion of the video on September 16th, 8:54 a.m. UTC time. I'm just going to step through this a little bit because what I was looking for was a coronal mass ejection on this side of the sun. And it was a pretty decent size one, not Earth facing, but we will probably see some effects from that in a few days. But anyways, so as I was stepping through this, I started noticing some spherical objects right around this area. And what I've been finding lately are these stellar cores, these stellar objects, Planet X, Nibiru, Wormwood, again, whatever you want to call it. They are basically invading the sun. So I've noticed that whenever they get really close to the sun or they're approaching the sun, a CME happens, coronal mass ejection. So I started looking and I started to see small spherical objects that are very, very out of place. So as I was once again just stepping through the images, I'm keeping an eye close on this area where this black triangle is per se. And as I'm stepping through, I noticed that these objects are getting closer and closer and closer to the sun, and I could actually see them moving. And it may be kind of hard for you guys to see it through the video. I am using high definition, so if you just turn the high definition up on your YouTube video player, if you're using a computer, you might be able to see what I'm talking about, but I'll show you what I found. Now, you know, there seems to be a few of these objects right here, 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 and here. And again, I'm watching them move closer and closer to the sun. And I'm waiting for that coronal mass ejection. And right here at 1324, the coronal mass ejection starts to occur. And what do I see? I see a few larger spherical objects right at the 7 o'clock position near the sun. And you can see right here, the coronal mass ejection begins. Here's your two spherical objects. I have zoomed in photographs of them, so don't worry if you can't see them now. And you could see the reaction of the camera on the stereo spacecraft. It will begin to appear brighter, darker, brighter, darker, and that's the effect on the sensors on the camera. But what do I see here? 1, 2, 3 spherical objects, almost in a complete row. And there are 2 more objects right here. But again, we're not even going to worry about those right now because bingo, this object appears in the frame 14:54:24 on the 16th of September. Now, the other day, Prep Aussie was doing his own video about some material that we've been researching. And Prep's a fantastic guy, very, very smart. And he said something very, very intelligent. And it kind of hit home at me as soon as I saw this fake image right here. He said, if you see, if they're trying to divert your attention to the right, make sure you look to the left. The same would apply for top and bottom. So if I want you to look at something and I want to catch your attention to something that's at the top, and I want to keep your attention on that, not what's at the bottom, that's easily done. So I'm looking at this image and I could easily tell that this is man-made. This is not any type of natural structure that you'd find out in space. You can clearly see these arches. This one doesn't match completely, but it's kind of tilted. A perfect 90-degree angle in the form of a V here. And basically, they want you to think it's a UFO, a spacecraft of some kind. And that's exactly what it looks like. So they are purposely putting fake images into the stereo images to trick researchers like myself. But you know what? That doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. Now, instead of me looking at this object, I immediately look over here and I see two round, big spherical objects, and these objects were moving straight towards the sun to about the 7 o'clock position. They're right here, one here, one here. But I have other photographs of them zoomed in. So as these objects are moving in, the coronal mass ejection is occurring. And I'm just going to step forward. Now the next frame, that object is gone. These two objects that were here have now passed under the sun. And the rest is just the coronal mass ejection, and I'll just go ahead and play that. And it wasn't a large CME, but you know, enough that will feel the intensity of this in a few days. So it was very interesting. So I decided to further analyze the photographs, and I start taking them apart piece by piece. Let me just move back to the photograph here. And here was the original. Now, I haven't done anything to these photographs. So this was the original. I just took a screenshot of it. And remember, I was pointing out these two objects right here. Now they're trying to divert your attention over here by looking at this, what looks to be a large craft, a UFO. Probably after this video, folks, you'll see, you know, probably 1,000 videos on YouTube about this big flying saucer in space. But I hope you can see clearly the spherical objects I was looking at were here and here. Okay, and again, they want you to look over here. Now, I'm going to zoom in on this. Now, once again, I pointed this out the other day with these digital overlays. You can see how pixelated this object is. Yes, it's an illuminated object. In this type of imaging on the stereo, this would portray an object that is emitting its own light. Okay, so we know this object is absolutely fake. It was inlaid on this image for one frame, enough to catch your attention and divert your attention. Now, this is what I was looking at. This object here and this object here. This is fake. So, now that we have that, I'm going to show you more of what I found. I started working with the photographs a little bit. And, you know, this will prove to you a little bit more that this image was overlaid. And you can see how heavily pixelated it is all along its edges. And if you look right here, you can see the large square pixel. The background in the pixel doesn't match anything else around it. So this image was overlaid in order for you not to look over here and see what's there. Bingo, bingo. And there are possibly more of these objects that we're moving in. There was a spherical object right here and another one right here. And again, folks, based on the resolution on your computer screens or, you know, your cell phone, whatever you're using, I don't know if you're actually going to see those, but I try to define them the best that I could working with these images. But yes, they're sticking fake UFOs into the images to divert your attention from what is really happening. But, you know, you got to get up a little bit earlier than that to trick me. So I changed just a little bit more contrast because I wanted to definitely see that this image was faked, and of course it was. Once again, you can see the clear cutout of the image, and it was basically overlaid for one frame on this one frame. So as I tried to tune in and uncover the pixels in this image, these two objects became even more defined. And as I'm looking at them, they actually have stripes. This one definitely has stripes on it. Not too sure about the leading object right here in front, but this object definitely has stripes. No doubt about it. And coincidentally, as those two objects moved towards the sun, the CME had started to occur. Now, we've been seeing this up close since the beginning of July, the middle of July, and the end of July. Remember all of those big CMEs? I captured all of those objects. Each CME, coronal mass ejection, I was able to capture this large planet, brown dwarf star, Planet X, Nibiru, wormwood, whatever you want to call it. Fact of the matter is, our sun's being invaded by these objects. I believe, personally, that they are in a very close, tight orbit around the sun. I think it's probably close to the rotation of the sun, maybe 27 to 28 days. But it seems as of lately, the more and more coronal mass ejections that I investigate, the more and more I'm finding. So at this point in time, NASA is overlaying fake UFO images into their footage for one frame just to capture your attention and divert it away from what is really there. Now, I just darkened this just a little bit just to bring out a little bit more definition. Forget about the fake UFO. Okay, these were the two objects, bingo. One right there, and you could see the stripes. And another one right here. Now, these two objects are in pretty close proximity of each other. And they're moving directly towards the sun. And then you see the CME. And again, just brightening things a little bit. And here are the two objects. And I hope that you can see these clearly. And I'm using all high definition software, monitors, things of that nature to try and bring out more definition so you, the viewers, can see it just as clear as I can. So moving into these, now you can see the stripes much, much more clearly. Now, when I was looking at this object even closer, I had two thoughts. Either this was another sphere, or this was a very large plasma discharge of this object right here. So this is no longer clearly defined as a sphere. When I looked at this image at this point, this sphere is definitely there. This is the one that has the stripes on it. So, could it have been a reaction of this object with the sun? The sun's already having its reaction with the coronal mass ejection. So, once again, we have a question right here about this object, but this, no way. That is clearly defined, a large spherical body moving in towards the sun. And what does NASA do to cover it up? They put a fake UFO right in the footage. One frame, enough to draw your attention away from that. The real culprit. The real problem with the sun. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the deceit, the lies, the deception. It's crystal clear. You make up your own mind. I'm the messenger. I'm the investigator. I'm the researcher. I find it and I bring it to you. This is Scott from Planet X News. Once again, thank you for watching and stay tuned.